I request Mr. Satyarup Siddhanta, Adventure Explorers Grand Slam winner and 7 volcanic summits, climber, climbing the obstacles, and president and founder of ABETO tomorrow. And where is he heading to? North Pole last degree ski. May I call upon Mr. Satyarup Siddhanta to kindly come onto the dais. It's an honor having you with us, sir.
Thank you so much.
This is the
Yeah. Thank you so much. Let me correct a little information. I haven't got the Grand Slam yet. I went for the North Pole expedition this April. But just like your projects, it doesn't always, even after 100% planning, the execution doesn't happen for unknown reasons. Due to some political problem, the whole project, North Pole expedition for this year, was postponed to next year. So, I'm Satyarup Siddhanta, and recently I became the youngest in the world to climb the highest mountain of each of the continents and the highest volcanoes of each of the continents. And I know you are all here with a lot of physics here, and incidentally last week I was there at CERN to give a talk before the open days. So I was pleasantly surprised to see you here. Thank you. So what is the 7 summits? The highest mountain of each of the continents are called 7 summits, and Everest is the highest of all, and it is the highest of Asia. Similarly, there are the highest volcanoes of each of the continents, that is present in all the 7 continents. And then I went for the South Pole last degree skiing, and hopefully the coming April I'm going for the North Pole expedition as well as the Greenland crossing. Now, before, and I leave it to you to go and explore what are the 7 summits. I don't want to get into each of them. But if you have noticed here, instead of 7, there are 10 mountains in the list of 7 summits that I have put. There is a reason for that. There are 2 controversies on the highest mountain in Europe. So a lot of people consider Mont Blanc to be the highest mountain of Europe, but technically it is not. Sentimentally, yes. Sentimentally, because the modern day mountaineering started from the Alps, mountaineering as a sport, adventure sport, and Alps is the crown of Europe. So a lot of people want to believe that Mont Blanc is the highest mountain of Europe. Also, a lot of people don't consider Russia to be a part of Europe still. And the Mount Elbrus is in Russia, which is the highest mountain of Europe. So I thought, why not do it both? Then the other one is for Australia. So the highest mountain in Australia is Mount Kosciuszko, which I'm sure everyone present in this room can definitely go and climb that in 2 hours. It's a small hill. It has steps. But later on, the father figure of modern mountaineering, Reinhold Messner, he came up with another mountain, which is in Papua New Guinea. And to his logic, it was that the plates of Asia, the plates of Australia has hit Papua New Guinea, and the Oceania comprises of Australia, New Zealand, and some more islands in which Papua New Guinea was there. So I did both. But then, interestingly, the mountain resides in West Papua, and it is controlled by Indonesia, because there is a world's 2nd largest gold mine is present there. So you know why. But then if it is controlled politically by Indonesia, then it becomes Asia. So I went and did the 2nd highest mountain of Papua New Guinea, though it is not in any list. It is Mount Wilhelm, and it is not in the Western Papua. Just to ensure that there are no more controversies, even after 5 years, somebody might come with another list telling that you have to do that. So I did that as well. So before this, I want to tell you that I was an asthmatic patient, and I was diagnosed with asthma when I was in class 2. That time I was in 8 years old. And as a kid, we don't follow a strategy like today's kids where you play football, that you have to have this formation and that formation. That time you bring one football and everyone, including the goalkeeper, would run to just touch and kick the ball. And I used to play like that. From school, I was sent back to home one day because of my breathing trouble. And I was very happy because I came early from the school so I can play. But I didn't realize that would become a big barrier in my life. And slowly, I saw myself that instead of playing football in the front, I started to become a backy because I had to run less. And then I had to come back as a goalkeeper. And one fine day, I saw myself out of the football ground. But then the spirit never goes off. My new playground came in, and I used to run on the parapets and the boundary walls and trees, climb trees, and jump from the under construction houses from first floor to the sand below. And maybe adventure was there, I don't know. But then what came in with me, a new friend also, which was my inhaler. Now with this inhaler, I could do a lot of things except all the running. And till my college days, I was having this inhaler with me. Only one day, I got a huge attack. And that day, for the first time, I didn't carry my inhaler with me. And I thought that day I would die. But I was 18 that time, and I was determined, and I was angry with myself. I was frustrated with myself, and I wanted to get rid of it. And I promised myself that I will not carry it in my pocket again. Earlier days, it was tough. It was a different story altogether. But I did follow some conditioning of my body, and I started conditioning against a lot of allergic foods as well. And then in 2008, it was like almost 7 years fighting. I came to, I was in my office, and so actually this is the conditioning that I was inspired by. And 2001 to 2008, I fought with asthma. And then I was in my office where my project manager, one like you, he showed me some pictures of some hills. And those mountains were not from the Himalayas, not from the Alps, not from the Andes. That was a small hill in Tamil Nadu called Parvatmalai. And I was so fascinated seeing that hill, and I could ask him that, can I also go? And he said, he was like 3 times my size, and he told, if I could go, why can't you? And I couldn't tell him that I was having an asthma background because I knew that that's it, they will never take me. But then I was not able to sleep because I really want to go. My brain was asking me to, my mind was asking me to go. My brain was telling me that don't go, you will have a dog's death. And then I came with a thought process that this mountain, if I had to go to this mountain, what if the biggest fear is what happens if I get an attack when I'm in a mountain. And trust me, the biggest fears are not quantifiable. The ones which are unquantifiable, the fear of unknown is the biggest fear. If I don't know how deep it is, and I close my eyes, and I will not be able to jump. But if I know this is this much, even though it's danger, I can perceive, I can quantify that, okay, this is this much. So I thought of quantifying, and I thought of understanding that what if I have an attack in the ground floor? I still use the inhaler. If it is in the 10th floor, I still use it an inhaler. And maybe if I go to Eiffel Tower top and I have an attack, it would be still an inhaler. So I thought, then inhaler is the key. Let me go and buy a new inhaler. And I imagined the mountain to be maybe 60 floor, 70 floor. And that shift in the thought actually gave me the confidence to go and try it myself. And I bought a new inhaler, didn't tell anyone, made a team, met the project manager as the team leader, and finally I went. And at the top, when I reached, without the aid of an inhaler, and I was standing like a lion king there, and I could see the route. It was like a thin thread. And I couldn't believe that I did that. And And then after that moment, I realized that I didn't have to use the inhaler once. And that liberating feeling that I had, I mean, that was, I can only put a simile like maybe 1,000 birds have been, caged birds have been given a freedom. That kind of freedom came into me. And I thought everything that I can believe that I can do is possible. And the first thing that I declared there, like, standing at the top of that hill, was that I want to go and learn horse riding. Now you might say, out of all these things, why horse riding? Because I still read a lot of comics, and that time Phantom was Phantom, Mandrake, and those were my world. And if the superheroes can do, why can't I? And isn't it true, like, that all the superheroes like Superman and all, they used to fly, now people can fly, isn't it? You can put the jetpack and you can fly. So everything comes with an imagination, and imagination is so important. And just to understand, we say ourselves very creative, isn't it? Now, can you think of one color which you have never heard, which you have never seen, which you have never known before? Can you think of one color? See? That's the limitation of our imagination. Today, if there's an aeroplane, that's because men once saw some birds flying and had desire to go and fly, isn't it? So the key is to expose ourselves to so many different things such that you can get new dreams, you can get filled with the new dreams. So maybe one project is going on 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, but if you don't keep your mind open, the dreams will be like similar kind of flavor. For an example, how many of you like sweets? Sir, any specific sweet you like? Gulab jamun. Now think, if sir would have, from the kid, like after his birth onwards, the only sweet that sir would have tasted was gulab jamun. The only sweet that he have heard of or seen pictures were of gulab jamun. And the only information that he read about sweet was gulab jamun. Can you, sir, then dream of rasgulla? So, I also didn't had any dream of climbing mountains because I never thought that it is possible, and I never went and explored that area. Only in 2010, I went to Everest Base Camp and I saw Mount Everest in front of me. And I thought that it is yet another mountain. I saw some old pictures in my children's book of knowledge that Tenzing Norgay was holding some 2-3 flags. I didn't know why. Something was in his mouth, and I heard later that it was an oxygen mask, and he had something in hammer, and that's it. But then when I saw this mountain, I thought that, okay, I know that it is the highest mountain. If that time you would have asked me what is the height of that mountain, I couldn't have told. Just like many of you might not know the exact height, because you don't need to, isn't it? And I thought that maybe Tenzing was using a mask because he was so tired that time and he would have used that. And I promised Everest that I'm going to come back. And much later, when I gave it a thought that how could I dream that big? I dreamed that big because I didn't know the facts and figures. Had I knew that facts and figures that Mount Everest was so dangerous, had I knew that the facts and figures that so many people die in Mount Everest, had I knew that 1996 disaster, so many things had happened in Everest, had I knew the cost of climbing Mount Everest, I wouldn't allowed myself to dream that big. Just like if I tell you, sir, would you want to go to CERN? You say, no, that's not my cup of tea. But, so you are not allowing yourself to find out opportunities there. But what if you have seen that, yeah, it is possible, let's find a roadmap. It's not impossible. So how can I go? Yes, it might not be so easy. If it were easy, then everybody here would have been in CERN. But then, everything has a roadmap. And if you just follow that roadmap, it is possible, not impossible. So I thought I'll climb Mount Everest, and I came back after the Everest Base Camp trek, and I thought, I went through a lot of books, and I was shocked. My dreams were crushed because I got to know that it cost $50,000 to climb Mount Everest. I got to know about the 1996 disaster after reading the book Into Thin Air by John Crocker. And I thought that one dream I saw of this magnitude and it's gone. And I was so sad. But then I didn't want to give up on my dreams. I wanted to cling to my dreams. And I tried to think that what can I do to make it possible? There has to be some way beyond like Harry Potter's magic. And then I thought that what is the right time to do? Should I wait for my, should I want to get settled first? Should I do X, Y, Z, only then I do? Am I not ready now? Like, what should I do? And I was confused. And then I realized to have the time, health, and money all together, you have to be really lucky. Now, when I was a kid, maybe I have all the health, maybe I have all the time, but I don't have the money to pursue. How many of you seen Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge in our generation? See, when you saw that, you had an instant idea that one day I am going to go to Switzerland, isn't it? And you said, one day when I will earn, first thing I will go to do is go to Switzerland, isn't it? So that happens, that when you are a kid. But then when you are project managers like now, you are the most important pawns in the whole game. And you have maybe all the money, you have all the health. But 2 months taking off from the office is gone, right? So you don't have the time. But then when you become one big shot like the Warren Buffett and all those Ratan Tatas and all, maybe you have all the time in the world, maybe you have all the money in the world, but maybe you don't have the age to take that kind of risk. Now you can ask why I said maybe. Everest has been climbed by 76-year-old young gentleman. Everest has been climbed by 14 years old experienced mountaineer from Hyderabad, from Telangana, Pune. Everest has been climbed by one of my friend. He has lost one of his lung because of cancer, and he is a 2-time cancer survivor. Everest has been climbed by blind people. Everest has been climbed by Arunima Sinha, who has lost her leg when she was thrown out from the moving train. 45 trains passed over her severed leg and she was lying unconscious. How did they do? It's the power of belief. It's the power of dreaming big. At the hospital when Arunima realized that she has lost her leg, well, like every one of us would have crumbled and shattered and would have wanted to give up on our life. She thought, what is the most difficult thing that one can do without a leg? And she thought of Mount Everest. She was not a mountaineer. And then she worked hard. She worked towards her dream, and finally she went and climbed Mount Everest. So would you say that anything what you perceive as impossible is really impossible? I don't believe so. Now came the money part. So I thought, how will I get that much money? And the first thing I thought, why not get a call from Kaun Banega Crorepati? And just like how you are laughing, I laughed at my own thought. But I realized that is it really 0% probability that I can get a call? Maybe it's less, 0.001, 0.0001, right? But it's not 0. And with that small 0.001% hope, I cling to it and I thought, okay, money is now taken care of. And I could progress. That what's next? If I have all the money, can I go to and climb the mountain? The answer was no. And then I realized I need to have the skill and I need to have the experience. Like, I might have big dreams of running a project, but if I don't have the skills, why will you take me as the project manager? If I don't have the experience, why will you give me a role for project manager in the CERN? It's not possible, right? So I prepared myself in that fashion, and after that I thought about the 7 summits. I was doing some research on the Kilimanjaro after the training, and I was searching in the Wikipedia that what is this Kilimanjaro about, and I got to know that Kilimanjaro is a part of 7 summits. And I was so curious that what is the 7 summits? And when I clicked, and I was like blown off. Climbing the highest mountain of each of the continents? How cool is that? And what better an excuse can it be than to see the world like this? And I immediately went and started searching about it. researched about it, and I planned it out. First I will do this, next this, next this. No, probably this and this. And I planned all my 7 summits and which year I am going to do everything. And I came back to reality. I don't have money to go to Mount Everest, one mountain, and here I am talking about 7. And then mathematics came to help. Mount Everest was like infinity to me, like impossible infinity. So you add anything to it, you multiply anything to it, it's still infinity. Then I thought, if I can dream big, why not make it large? Why not dream of 7 summits? If I can think of going to Mars, why not to Neptune, why not to Pluto? So I thought, okay, let me allow myself to dream that big. And I couldn't talk about this to anyone because everybody would have laughed at me. But then what is the dream if it is not laughed at? We all have standard dreams, isn't it? That first I need to have a house. First it should start with a 2 BHK house, then 4 BHK, then 2 of those 4 BHK, then 1 villa, then another villa, then I had to have a car, then I had to have a bigger car, then I had to have a bigger car. I don't know where does it end, maybe a train. But then try to look inside. I'm not saying that that is bad, but what I'm saying is that there are dreams that you already have inside you. And then there are dreams which the society want you to dream. Now it's up to you that what you want to dream and what you want to achieve. And then when I came to this Kilimanjaro, these are like very small red and blue dots. Those were like people. And if you zoom it, so those are like people. I was paralyzed mentally. Because when I stood in front of that wall, it was so massive. And I thought this was not taught in my HMI days, the Himalayan Mountaineering Institute. And this fear and the loss of confidence was propagated to my team just like that. And everybody started saying that, yeah, it's not possible. And then again, I thought that what is the most unit distance that we can go, like 1 step. Now 1 step, how difficult can 1 step be? A step can be this, a step can be this or this. It cannot be more than that, isn't it? It is not more than 90 degrees, right? It's not more than 90 degrees. So there can be a difficult step, but if that step is brought here, every one of you can actually take that 1 step. So the idea is to integrate that step and replicate that step multiple times. So take 1 step at a time and the whole mountain will be climbed. And when I told this to my team, and I had a 55-year-old guy in my team, and everybody was so charged up by this thought, even that 55-year-old guy overtook me and just ran to the top. So that's the power of thought, and that's the power of dreams that you can actually see manifesting. And then, so we are ourselves the barriers of, who's not allowing ourselves to dream big, isn't it? So it's time that you look into that. And now finally, I went to different mountains and see, so a lot of people ask me that, what is your education? I told that I'm an MBA. And they asked, from which college? I told, from the mountains. No, I haven't done an MBA, I'm a techie. But mountain taught me so many things that, you have to brand yourself, you have to market yourself, you have to arrange the finance, you have to have a plan, you have to do the risk identification, you have to do the risk mitigation, then you have to do the execution. And the failure, the cost of the failure is the cost of your life. Now, why will I not say that I am an MBA? And just like see this beautiful place, and if you spend so much time, in minutes things can change. To this, the same place, the bad weather can come in. And then you also get to see very good weather, like very clear sky, but then for that, you have to take the steps to go there. It is at 4,300 meters in Aconcagua base camp in Argentina. So you cannot see that here and wish for that, like, I wish I could see that. You have to go there, isn't it? And then sometimes the routes gets destroyed. If there is no route, you don't sit back and cry. Find your way. If there is no way, make one, isn't it? And then the biggest thing that we learned from this mountain is that nothing is taken for granted. Even to take water after a hard day's climb, you melt this much snow, then you get this much water. So then you realize in a hard way that save water. And then finally the dream was almost there. I was almost reaching towards my dream in 2015 to Nepal. And Everest was right in front of me, and We were taking inch by inch. We were moving towards Everest. And can I have the first video? This video is captured by Kabuch, one of my friend, and along with that was Kuntal Joshi from Maharashtra. So I took his permission to take this video. This video was accidentally shot. This is base camp, April 2015.
Whoa! Whoa! No! Fuck! 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 Come under my jacket.
Stop.
Come under my jacket. Are you okay? Yeah.
You alright?
Yeah.
There was a big earthquake in Nepal in 2015. Just after that, this avalanche happened. 21 people died in that avalanche in that 1 minute. 10,000 people died in Nepal. 10,000 officially. The dreams were crushed. All the money, like 18 lakh rupees vanished, just like this. Everest got cancelled. I couldn't take it because the first thing came as what was our fault. Every plan was in place. Every execution was thought upon. Nothing should go wrong. But then happens. And I was so insensitive to the place, and when the next day I went to find out, is there a way to go and climb? Can I take a helicopter and reach to Camp 2 and then open the routes and can we climb? And there were still dead bodies wrapped in plastic next to us, and I was so insensitive because it was my dream. My dream is getting lost and I couldn't take it. And I was roaming around and I came across this book. It was lying flat there, like as if you take a book and you throw that. And I came towards it to see what is the title of the book. And the book's title was Dead or Alive, ? As if the book is asking me, dead or alive. And I was shell-shocked. I saw that book and I started thinking that the person who was reading that book, is he dead or alive? I don't know. And then I realized the greatest gift that I can ever have is to stay alive. Because only if I am alive, then only I can follow my dreams. Then only I can chase my dreams. If I am dead, gone. I only lost money, but not hope, not my dreams. So if not my determination, if I have the right determination, I know I will come back next year. I know when I earn money, I will come after 5 years, after 10 years, maybe at the age of 60. But I will come. For that, I have to be alive. And then finally, next year we came at the last moment, the Nepal government, they waived off our $11,000 permit fee. So we kept ourselves prepared. We kept ourselves with the hope that something miracle will happen. We kept ourselves prepared. Now, since we were kept ourselves prepared, we could go for that expedition in the last moment, because they told in the last moment. It's just like opportunity. Opportunity will come in front of every one of you the same way. Everybody gets the same opportunity. But only the one who is prepared can grab that opportunity. And the ones which are not prepared, you know what they will say? That guy was lucky. Isn't it? So create your opportunities, and then even the atheist couldn't help but pray to the mountain gods, because 2014 there was an avalanche, 14 Sherpas died, 2015 there was an avalanche, 21 people died, and the Sherpas, they knew that mountain god is angry, and they were doing those, rituals. And the mountain gods, they're a little different, so they need whiskey for their offerings, not like the common offerings that we give, like prasadam and all. We also offer donuts, and we also offer cake, beer, whatever, chocolates. I don't know our gods would love chocolate or not, but their god does. And finally, we started preparing. And as a part of the preparation, by the way, that is Pimbaji. Pimbaji is no more now. He fell down in a crevasse last year, and he left us. And we started preparing, and we had to cross through the most dangerous section of Everest. This is the Khumbu icefall, which is called the popcorn zone. Just because if I take a very small section of that and zoom it, it would be like this, and the small dots are V in the center, and these are V, and these are big towers of ice, like 2 floors, 3 floors, unstable towers of ice, and anytime it can crumble, and you crumble, everything is gone. So you have to be very careful, and we had to strategize, we had to plan. We had to start in the night, 12 o'clock in the night, because at the time it won't melt the snow and we can just go in between there. This is the place where we are not supposed to even sneeze or cough. And can we have that second video? And with that we'll stop. I have 5 more minutes. Yeah? Second video? So Pembaji was teaching us how to cross the crevasse. And I thought he was joking, like he was just trying to display his, his skill. There was no railing, and he was just pulling 2 pieces of rope and he's going. And while he was going, I was asking, what happens if you fall? He says, why will you fall? I thought, come on, how deep is that? You go and find it out. And after some time, he told, you are talking too much, you should observe. I told, what is there to observe? You are just doing Newton's third law, you pull and the rope is pulling you back and it's keeping you equilibrium, that's it. He said, you haven't watched it properly. Did you see something different while he's coming back and while he was going? You haven't watched properly. I'm just repeating Pembaji's line. See how he is keeping his shoe. He is keeping in between the gaps, isn't it? Can I rewind it to the first this video? Or can you replay it? See the steps, how he is putting. Start of this video. See how he is going, he is putting the middle of the shoe on the rack. And while coming back, he was putting the shoe in the gap, right? So that was a big learning, and he told, if you're in mountains, you have to be observant. You have to see every minute changes that are happening, just like your projects. You have to always keep to see that anything, any parameters is moving or not. And so we got so much, we got so much convinced about crossing this, because it was the first step that was the most difficult step. But when you took the first step, then you know you have to go, you cannot go back. And I tried hard to see how deep is that. All I could see was this big, this wide a ladder, because I was only concentrating on ladder, and I was seeing the next step and the next step. And that's the focus that we had to keep ourselves alive. Now I was so confident, and the next video, if you can show, next video. Finally, when the actual time came, it's like the training time, that was the training time, and this actual execution of the project, it was in the night. And I was thinking, oh my God, this was not in the syllabus. But can you identify what can be good in night? Like, what can happen? Yeah? Yeah, you cannot see the depth, so you don't get scared, right? More importantly, you cannot see the face of your co-climbers that he is so scared to the hell. And you feel that, oh, he is good, then I can also go good. And the third thing is, you don't need to see that steep target. Oh man, I had to go that far. And what we had to do was thinking that, okay, like maybe another 10 minutes and we'll be reaching the target. And the 10 minutes never came. It was like 10 minutes to 10 hours. So that's about, yeah, presentation. Presentation, please. Presentation, yeah. And that was so interesting. And this was the third camp. And, like half an hour is too short a time to take you all through all their experiences. But I do give motivational talks. If you want, I can come. And this is the place where a Sherpa fell down in front of me to his death. And he was the most technically sound Sherpa in the whole Everest region. But then again, basics has to be right. And he had to take care of all the minute things. He forgot to put the safety, and the rope went off and he fell down. And finally, it was with this teamwork that we could go to the top. And this was me at the top of Mount Everest. And it didn't end here. It didn't end here. I don't know how many of you know about this incident. A police couple from Pune morphed pictures of their Everest, and wanted to prove that they climbed the Everest, and they got caught. They morphed my picture, and but the Photoshop was so bad that the shoe in one picture they made it red, in the other picture they kept it yellow. So at that altitude you cannot change the shoe because it's so cold you might lose your limb. And the Photoshop was so bad that everybody could see it in front, and they knew that it was a morphed photo. So the learning that I got was there is no shortcut to success, and no innovations were ever made trying to copy others. And for the team who made those Photoshop things, there was no team coordination and teamwork. And if you learn something like, say, Photoshop, at least learn to maximum such that you can excel at it and don't make those blunders. So with that, thank you so much, and dream big, and just dreaming big doesn't help. You have to chase your dreams. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. May I call upon Mr. Sairam, member PMI PCC board, to felicitate Mr. Satyarup Siddhanta. Big round of applause again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right.